fans, type 2 diabetes rescued by keto fans, and carnivore eating fans, the proper human diet. Today is April 18th, 2025. It is for those within the Christian faith, Good Friday, the day that we recognize that our Savior allowed himself to be sacrificed for the sins of man. So there's the religion for the day. And had it not been for the resurrection that happened 3 days later, our faith would be empty. And there are numerous accounts, historical accounts of people who walked on this earth with Jesus Christ and saw him die on the cross and saw him after the resurrection. And many of them, if not many of them, went to their deaths under penalties of torture without recanting. So there's the statement of faith for the day. Okay, I'm gonna do a shave, and there was some things I've been watching, some things, and it just got me thinking. I'm actually shaving probably on an interval that I should be, instead of being like the hobo like I was the last time. But some things happen, and I'm just gonna try and rattle off and talk. Mostly what I want to talk about is I want to talk about angles and curves. Okay, and that's where I'm going to focus, and that's kind of where this is going to come in a little bit. The soap for today is going to be, and I picked on Eric Hebert a little bit this morning on his great honing YouTube on cauticles. I picked on him a little bit, but he identified something that Ardennes Cauticle is offering as a set, which if you are new to straight razor shaving and you are interested in what a lot of the things that are happening in natural stones, but you don't have a fortune because you can spend a fortune in rocks, it's 200 some bucks. There's a set. It's kind of a progression, and once you acquire the skill to use that particular set, you should probably do pretty well with that. Okay, so Eric soap, the Cajun blade. This is Bayou Mallet. I'm not sure. He's the Cajun. I'm not. But I could not describe this scent. I could not describe it, okay, as to what's in there. But one of the things I did like about Eric's soap is that he likes a scent that is not overpowering and is a masculine type of scent. This fits the bill for that. So I'm using the Gary instigated shave scuttle, and I forgot to put Gary on in the background. And I'm using my hot towel, which he got me into too, and boiling water into this thing, and you get a nice steamy hot towel to burn your fingers on. Oh, okay. So I have used the Proraso pre-shave. I almost always do that. I just got into the pattern of liking that, and it has become just part of my shave. Just like thanks to Gary, the towel and the Scuttle have also become part of my shaves. Part of what we learn in wet shaving, how to do things differently. Find a way you like, and sink in bed. Oh, on the towel, I happened to be watching a barber, and I've seen it before. I just never really talked about it. But I have seen people that would, instead of using a pre-shave in their routine, they would lather up with their soap and leave the soap sitting on, and then put a hot towel on top of the soap immediately prior to shaving, and then relather. And this barber did that, so that's a common practice that can be done instead of a pre-shave, although I would reckon that the barber did actually use a pre-shave of some sort. It's all part of the experience if you're going to do that. The barber, I guess they were in a one of the state that regulates tools, or it could be just the choice of that barber. His choice of the tool to use was a Feather Artist Club DX, and he had some sort of a guarded blade in there, which I have, and I've used them, and they shave well, and they're probably the longest lasting Artist Club blades. And I can't necessarily say that after the first couple of shaves on an unguarded blade, that the guarded blade doesn't shave longer and better. Okay, so that, and again, that's my opinion. It is for the people that may tune in from, and you may be on the fence on some of the things that we straight razor guys do. Martin's Test Shaves did a thing where he tested some Chevettes and some traditional razors and that kind of stuff. And he was testing one of his Artist Club razors. And I think I had commented that had I done that before straight razors, I may never have done straight razors. Okay, so and that also prompted me for the tool of today. Oh, by the way, this is the Sterling High Mountain White. This was, I think, one of their Black Friday offerings. They have a Black Friday sale. And what prompted me was custom razors. Okay, I'm mostly a modern, although I do have some, but most of my tools, except for two, are factory manufactured straight razors. Most of them modern, some are vintage. And I wanted to have a couple of different custom razors. The one I bought from River Razors is really, really great. My opinion, he's as good of a grinder, and grinders today do things differently than factories today and factories of old did, where to grind the razor, they would go into a gizmo called the Hexa, created by Carl Friedrich, I think it was. Okay, it had two grinding wheels, and you would grind the hollows on both sides at the same time. As I understand, custom razor makers today, all of them do not have that piece of equipment. It is only in the places that can be considered modern production razors, even if it is a one-man shop doing it. Okay, so this razor, along with my River razors, is ground on probably a belt where you grind one side at a time. And this is made by Victor Criazzi, okay? And Victor is not currently making razors, but the reason I bought this is I have a friend that bought a couple of these, and Victor did do some forge welding stuff with a real beautiful San Mai, okay, where the patterns, and then the center core was the metal of his choice. I don't remember what it was, but this steel was 52-100, which I wanted a 52-100 steel razor. I have a couple of other ones of a different style, and I wanted this, and I saw it, and I liked it. This blade blank style with the curves in this way, and the handle is his unique thing. His scales have that same unique thing. They are pretty much all of his razors follow this pattern, only some a little bit different. And if he ever gets back into it, I could encourage you that he is a very, very meticulous and good razor maker. His razors aren't cheap, but they are sold with a lifetime honing guarantee. So if it gets dull and you don't want to buy stones, you buy a couple of his razors and you send them back and forth when they're dull. This was one razor that I, usually if I get a razor, wherever I get it, I usually don't hone it until it needs to be honed. This fit the bill until I started seeing something on the last shave, because this met my standard of evaluation with the packing peanut, okay, until maybe about the last shave, and then the last shave was not as good. So somebody had, I think it was Sean Staplefeld, had asked me about the use. I talked in my last video about my using abrasive charged shaped balsa strops, and he had asked me about using. I think he had asked me about using that if the razor was not convex honed. Now I don't tape. I did, this razor was honed with tape. And one of the reasons I don't tape is if I tape in honing, that changes things to the shapes that I'm working with, the curves that I'm working with on my strops. And if I put tape on there, it like gunks them up. If you get a little bit of tape wearing off on your stone, you can take a diamond thing, or you could take it off or whatever. So I did strop this up, give it my best stropping, and what I found out is it progresses better. This really cuts out here, and then probably the last 1/4 inch doesn't cut all that well. Okay, and I got to thinking about this while I was working this, and thinking why, and possibilities why. This is not a slam on Victor. I could send this thing to him, send him an email, and pay the shipping on it, and he'd hone it, and he'd send it back, and it'd be as good as it ever was. The unique thing about this raid, he does put a reasonable bellied hollow grind in there. I don't know if you can see that. Let's see. You can kind of see it right here. And he did put a little bit of a smile in here. Now, in looking at this as I was stropping and finding that I'm not happy with what's going on here, and this razor will be seeing my hones before too long, and I will be super curving this. But my theory is okay. So I'm looking at the hone guide here, okay, and here, and it's just a little bit different. If you can probably find something that is not perfect to your liking on any razor. You could probably find something, okay, and I'm not saying it's not to my liking, I'm just saying it is what it is. But usually on these razors that have a smile, more so on like the real smiley ones, like the Cietos and stuff like that, where they're really, really smiley, okay, honing on a flat stone. And this is where I want to get in shapes and curves. So you have flat, and as long as this is straight, but as soon as you start working on a curvature here, okay, then things change a little bit on flat. And this is just a paddle strop for illustration purposes only. So a little bit of a smile here, okay, means that I have to take this razor and I have to roll a little bit, and this is a common technique, using a rolling stroke, because even though with a little bit of a smile here and this and it lays flat, there's not any kind of a typical geometry issue that will be revealed in the tap and wobble test, okay, but most of the energy, just because there's a curve in there and there's a curve here, and they don't necessarily geometrically match. If you took a compass and were drawing them, that you get a little bit more attention in the center than you would out on the outside. So that's why I thought about this right here. And the other thing that I possibly thought of is on the outside, it was it's very common. I do it in my honing. Okay, so if you're honing, okay, and I'm doing a stropping stroke here, okay, but if you are doing an X stroke, what happens right there? Okay, the heel drops off. So in a lot of honing, and if you're along the way coming along, be aware of this, that any X stroke, this area always here, is going to need to get a little bit more attention than this area, because the common type of stroke, okay, so I'm starting and the toe is on there, okay, and you can see on that stroke right there, half of the razor gets less, and the toe gets 100% contact on that. So in curved honing, super curved honing, convex honing, or whatever, you will see me, okay, because I know that I kind of drop that off of there, and and I test it as I'm going along, and I can see that this area is so this is not quite as thin ground or as flexible as other razors where the leaning into it can pick that up. It's flexible, it's thin, but it's not easily thin enough to do that and to pick that end up. So when I hone, you'll typically see me and my hones are curved this way as well as this way. And on this curve, I have a limited contact, and you'll very typically see me doing one of these in honing and working just this much of the razor, okay? And as it goes on angles, okay, and I think this was where I was in difficult. So let's assume I don't measure angles. I know how to do it. I don't typically do that. But let's say this razor was, as it was ground, designed to be a 17-degree inclusive bevel with a layer of tape, okay? So if I take this razor, which added a pitching up because of I don't know exactly how to illustrate that, but if this razor with the tape is pitched up with the tape to, and you could say, well, it's only 1 degree. So, well, yeah, it's true, that's only 1 degree. Okay, but if you're on 17 degrees, that's 5%. So if you go in percentages, it's a lot more difference, and it doesn't matter that much because you can lean, you'll learn to hone, you'll learn how to lean and how to adjust your energy, and one of the fellows had a really good video where he was recovering an old Sheffield piece, did beautiful with it, and he recognized that. Greg has talked about how he works in sections, and this is one of the arts of honing, okay? I've never really been able to understand or how X number of strokes of this and X number of that and a formula like that could really work. I've never really tried it, but there are honing methods that do describe things in that way, and there's a lot of people that can follow that, and they're perfectly successful at it. So I'm 18 minutes in and I haven't shaved a bit yet, okay? So that surprises me on the heel. I like to use the heel of a razor. That does cut better than I thought it would, based on my packing peanut. But this is an improvement. I did run this on my whole strop progression, the convex strop progression. And based upon just that part, it's like I might not even need to hone this yet, okay? I think the next time that I am honing and have the gear out, I will touch this. The shape of this is unique. Victor started it before. Dovo has a newer 5/8. I've not seen a single person do a shave with one. They're expensive, okay? And maybe the blanks aren't as bent up as much as the other stuff that comes out of the Hugo Herkenrath Forge. but it does have this kind of shape where the blade is narrower than the spine in that particular profile position. When I initially saw this, and like I said, I bought this out of that I wanted a razor that Victor Criesi had made, because in writing, when he was active, when the shave forums more active in that, I always had a lot of respect for his knowledge, his attitude. His willingness to help people out. So, and this is a beautiful razor. I like this razor. A lot of people do not necessarily. Initially, when my friend had one of these, I initially didn't like that. But what I did like was I did like how the feel in the hand was. That the tang is a little bit longer. That the scales are kind of small in there. I liked it fit my hand. And as I use this, I am finding that, have found that I'm gonna keep adding a little bit of water. Hope I didn't overwater my soap. I did overwater the soap a little bit, but Eric does claim that he makes his soaps for straight razor shaving. I believe that. And even though you have what might be considered a wispy thin lather, as I've got here, and not a heavy thick canned foam style lather, this is very, very slick. His soaps, I do like animal fat based soaps. His soaps are tallow, and he adds a lot of skin nutrients and stuff in there, and it's a great option. This is a little bit better on the toe than it is on the heel. So, and that's what I find. You could do your whatever test you do to evaluate whether you're cutting your arm hair or hanging hair test, whatever you would find. You should be able to find where the sharpening needs just a little bit more work. I was going to say about the shape of this. At one time I was not sure about this. Because I thought, it might be hard to get under the nose, but just the way it is, it seems to be fine. Okay, so if anybody decides they want to be the first one on the block to own one of those Dovos, Okay, so that razor is sharp enough to cut me. A little bit of tug on the heel, a little bit of tug on the heel, and it'll be fixed. So if you're honing, do be aware of that sometimes you're gonna need to focus a little more energy, a little bit more time, maybe lean a little bit out, in, and lean a little in this way and a little bit more on that heel. You'll get it. You will get it. Okay. Work at it, don't overdo it. Okay, but you will get it. Otherwise, if you don't get it, Feather Artist Club Chevettes do shave pretty good. And I am over here sloshing the sauce all over the place. So to those of you that tune in, do look in the group of guys in my description. These are the people that I like to listen to. They entertain me. Many times they teach me things. Sometimes I can help them. It's kind of all what it's all about. And for those of us that are a little older, we recall the days where exchanges of information were done on, and I was real surprised that the younger kids call this the boomer boards. Now I imagine there was a Usenet group for shaving people. I was not into wet shaving at that time. I was electric razoring. I got a little sloppy right there. Sloppy shaver. So this razor is at the point that on this final kind of upwards pass, I'm feeling some roughness that I don't like. And I think that's due to the differences in the curves and the angles, okay? Because I can't really get to the edge. So even though this is I have on that side, I have a 10th micron CBN, there's nothing on there. Even though I get there, and even though I have been on bench leather, okay, this was honed 5% up. So I need to change this. But what it does illustrate is that as you learn to shave, you can adjust your particular technique to accommodate some differences in the hardware. Okay, so that shave, I'm gonna give that a C. I know people give when I shave with Sean G's stuff, either the one that he honed or the one, he actually honed them both, and he did both of them on 6-foot wheel and 12-foot wheel. And the one I stropped, either one, I would rate that shave either side with at least a B plus. Okay, so really, really good. And I don't shave A plus plus regularly at all. Okay, you know, and just like today, if I'm saying C, it is for me what I consider an acceptable shave. Close, and I got some sting going. So that edge needs some work and some smoothing out, and so that's my custom razor. And one of the things about custom razors, and one of the reasons I don't want to get involved in custom razors, I can afford them, but if you go out and you spend $1,500, $2,000, whatever, to get a straight razor that drives you back and forth to work, makes you breakfast in the morning, sends you these gorgeous pictures of Saturn, and has diamonds and rubies all over it, and it's a beautiful piece that belongs on the shelf, okay, but it won't shave worth of shit, okay. I hope you don't think that I want to be the guy who says that and goes on YouTube and says, okay, because it's just somebody who makes a custom razor and puts a lot of their skill and their craft into something. They're trying to create the best that there can be. I believe that. I firmly believe that. Otherwise, why would they do it? And considering how many razors a razor maker can make compared to a guy who makes these one-off, one at a time, and doesn't have a hexa to put this in and grind this. So he has to grind this side, and then he has to grind this side, and he has to keep looking and checking, and it's hot, it's filthy dirty, and you know, somebody who does that is, in my estimation, worthy of some respect of their craftsmanship. And I made fun of Dovo, and I haven't made too much fun of Tears of Sard, but I've had some bent stuff, seen some bent stuff. Oh, did I tell you? The Witches of Hazel Lime. That's, I do like this. I do really, this was, I don't think I saw lime on the Witches of Hazel from Sterling. And when I saw it, when I bought some stuff, I had to buy that. Custom razors, lots of people have them, just like lots of people have this and lots of people have that, and they all enjoy it. You should enjoy your stuff, whatever. So, and I got the, isn't that something, the size of that bottle? Apparently, one time these things were like dirt cheap at Walmart or something, and a guy gave this to me because he didn't want it. You know, I don't know if it was his father's or whatever. And this is a little stronger, a little more different. Okay, let's see if this has a label. I can't read the label because it's in black right there. But Bird is probably my most used aftershave alcohol, and it is the Bill M, the most glorious stank to apply aftershave. Now, there was a guy on one of the boomer boards, and it was one of the more modern boomer boards where I got into, where you could post pictures, shave of the day pictures and that kind of stuff. And there was a guy that he used Brute, and he happened to say something about, and this is where different people and their different characters come out, and I find humor in this stuff. The guy says, and he was trying to be humorous, so he says, my mom hates this stuff. He says, I always figured it was a Joe Namath hatred. And if you're young, if you're one of the younger guys, okay, you probably know who Joe Namath is Joe Namath still alive? I don't know. Forgive me for not knowing. Okay, but Joe Namath was the star quarterback for the New York Jets for a long time, and he did commercials for Brute. So I thought it was funny. You know, my mom doesn't like it. I figured it's a Joe Namath hatred. So that's the shave of the day here, and I'm a little bit longer than I usually was. I thank you for listening to me. I thank you for tuning in. I wish every one of you who does tune in a very blessed Easter Sunday. Forgive me if your faith is not that of Christianity, but understand my well wishes for whatever go to you as well. Thanks for tuning in. This is Bill out. Hope it helps somebody. Bye.